Hi, I'm Steve. You're watching Hall and Ash Outdoors. A couple days ago, Chris and I traveled down to the Detroit area to Erie Advantage Custom Tackle to see how they make their jigs and their plastics. Part 1, Episode 1, which will be right up here, was Pete discussing how he makes the leads, how he does the jig process, and what he has found works best. This episode today, Episode 2, is going to be how Justin makes all of the plastics. So stick around, watch it. It's quite interesting to see how they make plastics.
Okay. All right, so now we're going to make some plastics. We use a plastisol. It's called Dead On Plastics. Amazing. Couple great things about them. They're from Jackson, Michigan. They kind of started off mom and pop type thing, and they have expanded very well. I mean, they've done amazing. And their product is by far superior. The toughness in the plastic, I mean, you can fish all day on one plastic with a walleye with the teeth, and you'll still have that as opposed to being ripped in half. I mean, you know the teeth on walleye.
Yeah.
They hurt. It's just a superior product, and it's done us very well. And again, it's Michigan, so we try to keep, Michigan based. They're in Jackson. Their molds are they're still progressing. They're still young, and they'd be in their teenage years, I guess, as a company. They're still growing daily. Their shipping is great.
Phenomenal.
Which I don't know why we pay for shipping. We just bought 5 gallons at $40 something to ship, when I could have just drove up there one day and got it and saved us $100, whatever.
But fast. Literally, you order this stuff and like 10 minutes later you got a shipping.
A label has been printed. Yeah.
A label's been printed and you already start tracking your order.
Tuesday, and the poor UPS guy. I had just come. I was pulling up one day and I was tired. I was working, and he's like, "I got all these for you." I'm like, "Can you put them in the garage, please?" And I gave him $10 and I said, "Thanks, dude," because I didn't want to carry that.
Because it was like one Sunday we were down to like $0.25, and he's like, "I better order some more for next weekend." And he ordered it on like Sunday night, and I think it was here like Tuesday morning.
Wow.
So it was like, and that was Sunday night.
Yeah.
And still had a shipping label created, and it was here Tuesday morning. And
but anyway, the Dead On Plastic thing is amazing. So big thanks to them. And now we'll show you what we kind of turn this into. So we take the buckets, we put them in. For this little run we're doing, we're just putting them in little Pyrex cups. Looks like it's kind of burnt.
Uh-oh. We may have to
Yeah, I think we're gonna revisit this.
I'd be editing this. What's it up to? What's the temp?
We'll run it. Sucks, we'll do it again. But anyway, so we put them in these little Pyrex cups. 350 is a magic number. Temperature is the most important thing. When shooting them, they want to be within 4 or 5 degrees of each other, just when you're shooting a laminate, just so they blend, everything flows perfect. 350 is a magic number that activates all the chemicals in the plastisol. That makes it all, activate, everything is blend together and ready to shoot. So now we're gonna make this. This is also another Dead On Plastic product. It's their colorant, their glitters are just amazing. So we're gonna add some chartreuse to this one.
How do you know how much to add? Just by eye or?
Well, in this, the one that we're making, we've done this, quite a few times, and they're really, it's kind of a feel, we've made it enough times to where we know. But a lot of times we do measure them, but this one you just want to go so heavy because you want this powerful.
Yeah.
So when mixing it up, we're just going to run it, and a lot of this has been trial and error. I mean, a lot of trial and error. So we just want this to be real powerful.
Yeah, we've messed up enough where we have enough baits for ourselves for the next 15 years.
I don't think I've ever fished actually with the stuff that we make with a sellable. Everything that we make that's sellable, we sell. All the mess ups, we have ample.
The mistakes are called prototypes.
Yeah.
That's how we get to the pro staff. Donation. All right. So now that we got the chartreuse kind of banging, looking pretty decent.
Yeah, that's pretty loud.
We are going to step into our Now this is where I always get yelled at because I'm a glitter freak.
And glitter is not cheap.
Yes, and it also becomes very overpowering. So 1 tablespoon, we'll start there. Where I get yelled at.
I forget what the.
I think it was 1.5. But again, I'll see how this is already starting to set up a little bit. Thank you, sir. I'm just gonna mix it in, get it down to
You've
the
only
bottom.
got a certain amount of time to get this done before it hardens up right in the glass. doesn't it?
Correct, yeah. I mean, well, this is in the mixing stage, so we are going to end up nuking him again. But we want to kind of see what we got. We wanted to activate it on the initial cook. And then after that, we're going to just maintain temperature to shoot our product.
And then obviously, if we had a super huge run, we would fire up the machine, and we could run it. But just for time purposes,
Yeah,
it's easier to just shoot out a couple Pyrex
Just
cups.
to show something, this is a phenomenal machine. It's a shooting star machine. Cleaning it sucks.
Yeah.
So that is why we are doing these little ones just like this.
Yep.
And we're just, and a lot of it, all our prototypes and stuff start out right here in these small Pyrex cups. You know, if we want to see what does the color look like,
Yeah.
let's make a small little run right quick and see what we got. If it's cool, then we'll step it up a notch, you know, to 8 gallon or 8 cups a piece. I think just a hair more. While he's not looking, I'm gonna add a hair more.
These aren't too over.
And again, temperature is the key on everything.
So you heat up the molds and you heat up the injector and
Yeah, temperature is the most important thing because you want to maintain. We try to shoot 300 to 310, somewhere right in there is where we try to shoot it. So, excuse me, you don't want to take a 310 degree in a, you know, the garage this morning when I came out here was what 430 something degrees probably. You just got to kind of bake it up and kind of bring it to a close temp so that the second you shoot it, it don't instantly gel.
Yeah.
So now that we kind of got our quick little color, we're going to go back to the microwave. We'll give it a minute on both. All right, and now we will get ready to shoot. All right, so now we're ready to shoot. We're going to take this as which is a blending block, which just basically makes 2 into 1. We're going to take our mega injectors, get them nice and ready. And then I have this idiot-proof bottom on this side, top on this side. Because, again, that whole thing we were talking about earlier. Out here at night.
You get a nice perfect laminate and realize you got the colors on the top side's wrong, the bottom's the wrong color. Like, damn it.
Here's the
it
bottom.
probably would work though, right?
It'll get used one way or another. It ends up in somebody's tackle box.
So just a quick stir. Again, a temperature check because that is key. Beautiful.
350 degrees.
Right now we're shooting about 310. 3 to 310 right now.
I
We're
see.
at 312 and 315, so we are perfect to shoot.
Okay.
So now, we're going to take the injectors, put the 2 cups together. We're going to come in, pull out some plastisol. And then straighten her up
Inject.
and inject. Top that off a little bit. I'm making a mess because I'm nervous.
So that's mixing equal parts.
Yep, shooting a 1-to-1.
Yep.
50-50.
I believe you'll notice when you're going down the bottom, colorant will actually take up a little bit more of the plastisol because the cavity's bigger inside the mold. Because normally when we're done, almost done, we'll just, whatever color's left, we kind of like shoot some singles out of it.
And then if there's any to donate back, which I made that perfect, I just want that noted. And then, for right now, normally I would go back in, shoot, you know, if I was shooting some more worms and stuff. So for right now, we're just going to slide these guys to the side. Actually, we'll put them in here.
This is reusable as long as it doesn't set up.
Yeah, you can reheat that.
As
That's
long
what's
as
good
you
about the dead on
control
plastics.
temperature. If you hit above 350 again, you start scorching it, and you'll see a brown tint.
Yeah, then you'll know you're ruined.
Sometimes the flake is actually metal. You ever put metal in a microwave?
Yeah.
Not recommended.
Yeah.
Thank God for garage sales.
Yeah, when you're reheating, you really have to watch where you're going with your temperatures. And as the more reheat you do, like he's saying, you start some glitters pretty strong, but as you get to
You'll bleed
some
them.
other, you'll start bleeding the color off of the glitters, and you'll start curling them. They won't be as effective. They won't have that kick to them. That, you know what I mean? If you overheat the plastisol.
So it doesn't have to set up in this mold very
Not
long.
very
Nope.
long. Just a
Those
one.
molds were a little cold. Oh, that was actually the last one. So there goes my kudos. I didn't do it right. She's still, see how she's a little
Yep.
liquidy in there still?
Yeah.
So we can actually know we can step our temperature down a little bit. But that's good. That means that the molds and the plastisol all mixed really well. One wasn't cold. It didn't shock it, you know, the second that it got injected.
So you just set them off to the side, let them cool down before you pull them out of the mold.
They said normally, unless you're shooting a real long run,
Well, this being the first one too, now we know we can step the temperatures down a little bit so that we can rip them right out.
and normally, like I said, we got the worms set up too. So
However-
if you shoot all the worms and all those, your molds tend not to get super hot. But if you just shoot a straight run of minnows, those get so hot you got to stop and let them.
And a lot of times we're not really pulling them out to play with them. We'll literally pull them out, stack them right here, straight to the drying rack. But there it is.
Cool.
I mean, a decent. She's pretty solid. She's little. But,
We'll show what you made. Very good. Nice job.
and it's shot pretty well. I mean, you can see some bleed stuff into it, but a lot of it, like I said, temperature being the most important thing. We're being the first run. We learned right off the bat that we can step the temperature down a little bit because one is, you know, everything is blending fine. So we can, instead of being at that 315, that 300 is going to be where I would shoot next.
So what do you call this particular color?
I'm not allowed to name stuff actually.
Oh, okay.
Because I don't come up with very
I
appropriate
think a
stuff.
particular friend of ours was calling it like Maui or something like that.
Yeah, Mahi, Matt was
Mahi
calling
or
it.
something like that.
And he's just actually made another order, so here you go, Matt.
You know, I wonder, speaking of mahi-mahi, I should take some of this down when I go down to Florida fishing and try them out and see
Yeah,
if
I mean,
they
it's
Donnie uses it in the UP,
it's-
ice fishing and stuff, and he's done pretty decent.
I mean,
with
it's
some
just
of
a
it.
regular
Chunks
bait
of
fish
it.
imitator, so I mean,
Cool.
you know.
But, and then we just demold them all, and it is literally, I like plastics. I'm not the biggest jig fan. I'm
That's
not
what
allowed
I-
to paint.
And that's what's nice because I prefer the jig making part of the whole operation.
So you each do your own thing, and
Yeah, like I
Yeah,
said,
I
he
mean,
took
it's-
off on he's totally inspired by the whole plastics process, and you know I've always enjoyed painting the jigs downstairs and all that stuff because if I get a whole day, I could paint almost 1,000 jigs in one day.
I wish, I mean, the way he does it too is amazing. I'm actually glad I'm not allowed to paint because, again, I found it boring. I'm a hands-on person, and the art, you know, like in building, you know that. I'm a rough framer all the way when it comes to it, 'cause I like my 3 inches out of square, no problem, still within specs. You know, it's, you know, the bleeding and stuff on some of these colors where there's 4 or 5 colors on some of these jigs. It's just, that's you, Picasso, not me. I like this.
I said I thought about bringing the whole painting thing over, but it was just too much.
Then we just made a quick little run, and then they have to hang for 24 hours. We want them to hang, you know, as flat as possible. We have
I got some.
a ton of stuff up here right now.
Where's the new hooks at?
They're right here. But for right now, we'll just.
The new hooks?
Yeah. All right, so now we're gonna shoot some worms. Oh, and the goby, my favorite. This is new this year, so I'm fine.
You got a worm mold and a goby mold.
Yes. So now we're gonna shoot. We're just gonna try and pretty much take whatever we can. I did add a little bit more blue, just to try to stay consistent with our other runs that we've made. So we're gonna take all that she'll take. And send it.
Probably the blending. Was it blending black worm?
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, she's feeling.
You can just feel it in the mold.
The firmness.
Yeah. Before we run out.
Yeah, the goby takes quite a bit of plastic.
Oh my god.
It's a 10 cavity, right? Yeah, 10 cavity.
Yeah.
So you're making 10 gobies with that
One
one
shot.
mold.
And we're making 16 worms in one shot.
16
too, right
worms
now.
in one shot.
And Pete, you have better luck with worms than you do with minnows, correct?
I've always preferred, before the whole finesse craze came along, I don't know, what's that been, over 10 years ago? Everybody and their brother used the wine dot worm, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And it was this, you basically had your choice in 2 colors back in the day, black and brown. So, like I said, I grew up on the river fishing the wine dot worm, so it's all confidence bait. And I'm confident I catch more fish than Justin, so that's why I use the worm.
That's why Justin has his own boat. Have a good day, mate.
You two do fish together, right?
Usually punch each other first a couple of times before we get on the boat and get it out of the way,
But you know what, though? That's part of, like, and Pete's one of my best friends. If you can't have, that's another thing that makes this so great, is it occupies our winters. It kills the dull, depressing boredom of winter. So here it is in a 16 shot worm. I don't know what that was, but
some snots.
yeah, it's from the top. Go figure. But here it is, good laminate. The bottom,
Hold it up a little.
it's got that pretty chartreuse to it. And then the top, it's kind of hard to tell the definition in the worm because of the thin profile, but that's a 50-50 laminate. Now the goby. Holy hot.
Was that a little bit warm, Justin? Wear a glove.
Yeah. And you know what's funny? There's 4 pairs of gloves.
And that's one thing, we usually got the fans blowing, but for filming and all that stuff, the fans are usually blowing the fumes. Because it's not good to sit here and huff lead and huff raw plastic, you know.
That's why you catch us more fish with all the lead.
I don't recommend it.
Yeah, 9
said
out
you-
of 10 would not recommend.
Dealing with anything over 350 degrees, you got to watch yourself, man.
Yeah, just as a disclaimer, they do have fans here. We're just not running them because they would make too much noise to be able to hear what they're saying.
Oh, goby is still gel.
But you haven't made plastic until you pull a nice runny plastic out of there and it pours all over yourself. Short sleeves.
Still hot.
I'm surprised he's got fingerprints left after this year.
Yeah, really. So here's the goby that is still molten in there. This one didn't turn out the greatest, but you can see a little bit of on the top and the bottom. I think I pulled it too fast. It's kind
Yeah,
of hard to pause.
Still juicy.
And, you know, normally it's a very repetitive, very quick, you know, process.
Yeah, those are pretty warm.
Yeah, they're just...
Yeah.
But here's a perfect one. So we got a beautiful, nice line on the goby. Nice chartreuse bottom with an oddball blue. Oops. And then a nice blue back. And then this will stiffen up to where it'll actually stand up. But for now, that's that. And then we pretty much, what we would normally do at this stage is probably just remelt this, reheat it up, you know, get everything hung, reheat it back up, and just shoot a few blues and give them to the pro staff. Or the people who've never used plastics before. But yeah, so that's kind of the gist of making a laminate. Again, a lot of trial and error. And again, it's definitely a thing of passion. you know, as opposed to paying your mortgage. So, but it's fun, and it works.
It's fun and it works. Yes, it does, Justin. You can watch a video up here of last year. Chris and I and Justin were out using Erie Advantage Custom Tackle. We got our 3-man limit in hardly any time at all. I want to thank you for watching today's video on how they make their plastics, and until the next time, take care and God bless.